morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News Roundup, dateline the 6th of April 2024. This week's headlines. A French pupil died after being beaten near their school. A man in London says he supports Hamas. And what the hell is going on in London? A boy was beaten after being caught eating in the bathroom of the mosque before finishing the Taraweeh prayer. In Pakistan, a Muslim kidnapper won custody of a 13-year-old Christian girl. Benjamin Netanyahu protests put political divides back on show. Florida's top court ushers in a 6-week abortion ban, but voters will have their say in the November election. Atheist Richard Dawkins says he identifies as a cultural Christian. Councils say faith schools are disadvantaging looked after children. And Jesus rebels. There are renewed concerns over the levels of violence in French schools after 2 young teenagers were the victims of attacks, one of them fatal. A 15-year-old boy named Shamseddin died in hospital on Friday. The news came a day after he was beaten by a group of youths wearing balaclavas near his school in Viry-Châtillon in the southern Paris suburbs. On Tuesday, in the southern city of Montpellier, a 14-year-old girl named Samara was placed in an artificial coma after she was beaten by a group shortly after leaving school. 3 adolescents, a girl and 2 boys of roughly the same age as Samara, have been arrested and admitted taking part in the attack, police said. Samara has since regained consciousness. The girl's mother told French media that Samara had been bullied by another girl at the school because she refused to follow Islamic dress codes. Samara puts on a bit of makeup, and this other girl wears the headscarf. All the time she kept calling her an unbeliever, she said on French television on Wednesday. My daughter dresses like a European. Every day there were insults. It was physically and psychologically unbearable. These attacks have further heightened concerns about violence in schools against a background of gangs, cyberbullying, and pressure to conform to Islamic rules. Last week, the head teacher of a school in Paris resigned, saying he feared for his life after receiving death threats for telling a girl to remove her head covering in accordance with French law. In the same week, several schools had to shut because of hoax bomb threats made by people claiming to be Islamic radicals. In recent years, 2 teachers have been murdered by Islamist radicals. A man in London expressed his view of supporting Hamas, which is designated as a terrorist organisation in the UK and in other countries. See this video.
I fully support Hamas.
Are the intentions of these Islamists not to coexist, but to conquer by radicalising the British Muslims, by adding in their new recruit immigrants, and agitating the native population? See this video. In Chicago, a boy was found eating in the bathroom of the mosque before finishing the Taraweeh prayer. The worshippers gave him a beating. See this video. A high court in Pakistan on March the 25th rejected a Christian woman's attempt to recover her 13-year-old daughter, instead allowing the child to go with a Muslim who abducted, forcibly converting her to Islam and married her, sources said. Shakil Mazi's daughter, Roshni Shakil, was taken from her home in Basti Kalikpura in Multan district, Punjab province, on March the 13th by a 28-year-old Muslim, Muazzam Mazar, when Mazi and his wife were out of the house for work. Mazi's wife, Nazia Shakil, on March the 18th, filed a habeas corpus petition in the Lahore High Court for the recovery of their daughter after the family was unable to find her. On Monday, March the 25th, Sital Mari Police presented Rojni and Mazar in the Court of Justice. My wife and I were hoping that the judge would consider it a clear case of child marriage and order action against the accused, but we were utterly disappointed when he completely ignored our pleas for justice. Mazi said the judge set aside case documents without even looking at them and posed only one question to Rojni. Had she married Muazzam with her own free will? When Rojni said that she had done so willingly and wanted to go with Muazzam, the judge congratulated her on the marriage and said she was free to live with her husband, Mazi said. My wife and I pleaded with the judge to at least consider her age and the fact that the child was under the influence of the accused for over 2 weeks, and she could have been easily coerced into giving that statement. Instead of listening to us and our lawyer, the judge hushed us with a hand gesture and announced his decision. The impoverished Christian, a cleaner at a local restaurant, has sold household items including mobile phones and his brother's motorcycle to fund efforts to recover his daughter in a desperate quest for justice. All my efforts have gone in vain, because the court did not even bother to inspect her official birth document and other evidence, Mazi said. Our lawyer argued that Rojni was visibly underage and the matter should be dealt as an illegal child marriage, but the judge didn't listen to him either. Authorities did not give Mazi or his wife a chance to meet with Rojni and ask her about her well-being. In fact, the police and family members of the accused blocked her view during the entire room she was in the courtroom. They then took her away in front of our eyes, and there was nothing I could do to stop them, Mazi said, as grief and frustration overtook his voice. Despite the setback, Mazi said he was determined to make every possible legal effort to bring his daughter home. Israel's deep political divides are back on public display. These divisions were put to one side for a while as shock and national unity followed the 7th of October attacks by Hamas. But 6 months later, thousands of protesters are once again on Israel's streets. On Sunday evening, as thousands packed the broad avenues around the Israeli parliament, Katya Amorza, who has a son serving in the Israeli army in Gaza, put down her megaphone for a moment. Since 8 this morning I've been here, and I'm telling Netanyahu that I would be glad to pay for a one-way ticket, first class, for him to go out and not come back anymore. The big fear of the families and friends, as well as the protesters, is that many more will die the longer the war drags on without a deal. The war has turbocharged their determination to unseat Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. In Jerusalem, police used skunk water, a foul-smelling substance fired from water cannons, to clear protesters who had blocked the Begin Boulevard, the city's major north-south highway. In 2022, Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law a 6-week abortion ban, but the bill was written so as to be placed on hold until the 15-week ban had cleared legal challenges. The justices have now upheld the state's 15-week ban on abortion, and following this ruling, the 6-week ban can take effect within 30 days. Many women do not realize they are pregnant at 6 weeks. On Monday, Florida's Republican-appointed justices decided by 6-1 that the state's constitution, specifically its privacy protections, did not apply to abortion access. But the court decision will also let Floridians decide in November if abortion rights should be sealed into the state constitution. This abortion ballot initiative could energize Liberal voters in a presidential swing state that has been trending conservative in recent election cycles. Evolutionary biologist and self-described atheist Richard Dawkins made comments this week on the British LBC YouTube channel saying he is grateful the United Kingdom is culturally a Christian country. Dawkins is the author of the 2006 book The God Delusion. "I call myself a cultural Christian," Dawkins said. "I'm not a believer, but there's a distinction between being a believer in Christianity and being a cultural Christian. And so I love hymns and Christmas carols, and I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. I feel that we are a Christian country in that sense. Statistically, the number of people who actually believe in Christianity is going down, and I'm happy with that. But I would not be happy if, for example, we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches. So I call myself a cultural Christian. Certainly, if we substituted any alternative religion, that would be truly dreadful. There is an active hostility to women in the holy books of Islam, which is also hostile to gays," he said. Dawkins said he disagrees with fundamentalist Christians on abortion and evolution, and said he does not believe a single word of the Christian faith. Still, he said, he cheers for Christian missionaries when they are competing with Muslim missionaries. "If I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I would choose Christianity every single time. I mean, it seems to me to be a fundamentally decent religion in a way that I think Islam is not. Insofar as Christianity can be seen as a bulwark against Islam, I think it's a very good thing. And in Africa, for example, where we have missionaries of both faiths operating, I'm on Team Christian as far as that's concerned." In its latest annual report published this week, the Office of the Schools Adjudicator said some local authorities report that faith schools in their area effectively disadvantage looked-after children whose families are not of the school's faith, as a result of faith-based oversubscription criteria. Schools use oversubscription criteria in their admission arrangements to determine which children will be prioritized for a place if there are more applications than spaces available. Faith schools very often prioritize applications from families who share the religion of the school. By law, oversubscription criteria must designate looked after children and previously looked after children as their first priority. But faith schools can prioritize all children from families who share the school's faith above such children from families of different beliefs. This means that looked after and previously looked after children who do not share the school's faith background are unable to access these schools. This creates further uncertainty for these vulnerable young people when all their peers have confirmed school places. As well as disadvantaging looked after and previously looked after children, research has shown that faith schools also treat pupils from lower income backgrounds less favourably. Finally, the reenactment of the Good Friday procession got some pushback from Jesus. See this video. Following this news, Tercia and I are going to chat about the difference between the sexes. You can join in. This has been Global Atheist News. Please like, subscribe and share. Thank you for watching.